Good evening, everybody. This is the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, to be held March 3rd, 2020 at 6 p.m. Could please have the Deputy Clerk take the roll.
Councilmember Wilden.
Here.
Councilmember Henry.
Here.
Councilmember Hulse.
Here.
Councilmember Hawargi.
Here.
Councilmember Naren.
Here.
Vice Mayor Matthews.
Here.
Mayor Linsky.
Here. Thank you. Okay, next is Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next on the agenda is a brief summary of current events by the mayor, city council, and/or city manager. The public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action on any matter brought up during the summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. Do we have any council members with anything to report? Vice Mayor?
Two things. Last week I attended the NACOG quarterly meeting, and two things that they do to really impact our community are economic development, transportation. As far as economic development, their Economic Development Council's been asked to join the Congressional Advisory Group. So now they'll be basically advocating to Congress for our economic needs up here in northern Arizona, so that's phenomenal. After 12 months, NACOG has produced a 5-year comprehensive economic development strategy, and I'll provide that to the city manager. Anybody wants to take a look at that. There's some good information on Yavapai County. Yavapai County is growing more so than any other northern Arizona county. It's going to continue to grow, and we're going to have to deal with that. The interesting things in there, top job growth sectors, unsurprisingly, are number one, hospitality and food service. Number two is healthcare and social services. 3 is retail, trade, and everything trails off into single digits from there. Disappointingly, the median income, 36% in Yavapai County, are still under $35,000 a year. Another 37% is between $35,000 and $74,000 a year. And as far as the transportation, the most important thing that's happening now is they're working with the city of Sedona, trying to put together a transportation plan up there. So we're trying to get the whole Verde Valley connected. It would be great if Sedona could get that going. And the other thing that I did and attended was a fundraiser for, bear with me, the Verde Natural Resources Conservation District Environmental Education Center. The city recently donated the previous teen center to them. And these people are really, really passionate about what they do, and so they educate and they go to the different schools, and they bring them to the education center and then teach them about environmental conservation, mostly about water. I mean, every community we have here, bar Jerome, I think, has water running through it. Very important. They're very passionate about what they do. Great group of people. So that was great. They're very, very appreciative of the City of Cottonwood's partnership and their use of that center over there. They love the building, and they plan to do great things with it. Third, but not least, is Doug's birthday is Sunday. Happy birthday, Doug.
You're keeping it secret.
That's right. It's not going to get by me.
Hey, Doug, I didn't know you were 10 years older than I was. We were class of 66, you and I. And
that's right.
I didn't know you were so old. What, they hold you back?
That's all right. Your turn's coming.
Very good. I don't have much to report other than on the 14th, we've been invited, City Council was invited to attend the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Sedona. So we've done that last couple of years, so I'm excited to be dragging, I believe, Councilmember Wilden along with us, and Vice Mayor will be there, Councilmember Naren will be there as well, so should be a good turnout. It's a great event. It's much shorter than our Christmas parade. It's just a short walk in Uptown Sedona, but looking forward to that. Are you going to be there?
What time?
I think at 10 on Saturday?
On Saturday?
I think so.
Maybe.
Okay. Very good. Mr. Corbin?
Mr. Mayor, Council, it'll be short tonight, believe it or not. Dr. Daniel Bright Bike to School Day and Mayor's Ride will be Friday, March 27th at 7:45 a.m. We'll meet at Hughes Supply Company located at 652 South Willard Street, and then ride to Dr. Daniel Bright's school. Everyone is welcome. And then I just wanted to let council know that I will be off Thursday afternoon and out of town on Friday.
All right. We have one presentation tonight, and it's from Chief Gazelle. He's going to present the Police Department's 2019 annual report. We've all taken bets on how long this is going to take.
I've been given 15 minutes. You don't think I can color within the lines,
We'll
Mayor?
see.
Is that what you're saying? That would be a
We
safe,
stand to make a lot of money, that's
that
all.
would be a safe bet. I'm going to do my best to meet that time restriction today. Well, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Happy Super Tuesday as well. I'm here to present in 15 minutes or less the 2019 Cottonwood Police Department annual report. Real quickly, I'm sorry, I'm remiss. My co-pilot today will be Commander Braxton, and I also have Commander McCooch as backup in the audience should you have any questions that I can't answer. The collective of us should be able to address them. So tonight, why are we here? We're going to go over a high-level review over our annual report. Why do we even spend time on aggregating these statistics and this information? The first reason is just that. Our community enjoys the feedback that we provide as far as the crime statistics and trends. We also want to show that we are a transparent organization. You've heard me say it before, policing, there's never been a greater need for transparency in American policing than over, say, the last decade. So we want to hold true to that tenet of being a transparent organization, explaining what we do and why we do it. There's very little in reality that is secretive in a municipal police department. That's the real reality. And we also want to update the community and council, obviously, on our organizational workload, programs, and outcomes, and update you on our strategic plan progress. The report itself can be located on the city's website. If you navigate to the PD's page, you'll see all three of the annual reports, including 2019 was just posted last night. So it's fresh, ready to go. It has a very sexy look, like similar to the Verde Independent. It will open like a magazine, so we're very proud of that new shiny look this year, thanks to my wonderful assistant, Jen Matthew. Speaking to the topic of crime, we're happy to return to you again this year and reaffirm that Cottonwood is a safe city. We intend to keep it that way. I will always add that statement after the previous. We see downward, this year we're very, very pleased because we see downward trends in just about every crime category, from violent crime down to most thefts. As you delve into the report, I would caution you that some of these raw numbers, we're a small city, some of the raw numbers are small. So when you see percentages, just be aware that if you have one crime one year and two crimes the next year, that's a 100% increase. Just be aware of that. Of note, residential burglaries are down 40% from the previous year. We attribute much of that to a collaborative effort between our agency and the sheriff's office in dismantling several burglary crews. Non-residential burglaries are slightly up, although it's very negligible when you look at the raw numbers. Reported sex offenses are slightly up, and I asked for a little bit more information on this, and interestingly enough, many of the offenses that are reported involve the use of social media and youth. So we want to make sure that we take this moment to alert parents, be aware of what your kids are doing. I know my teenager has Snapchat, which is one of the primary vehicles for some of the crimes that we see. There's also, I mean, you can't even keep up with them. There's TikTok and God knows what else is out there. And it's ever evolving opportunity for people to victimize, particularly our youth. So please remain vigilant in that area. We also believe there's an increased empowerment of victims to report sexual crimes, which influences the numbers. Marijuana arrests are down, which may or may not be surprising. It's not an exact science. We're going to attribute much of that to the continued popularity of medical marijuana and also the changing forms of consumption of marijuana. It's not 1960s or 70s or the Cheech and Chong movies that we remember. Many of it is edibles, and it's no longer marijuana, I'll tell you right now. It's high concentrated THC. We never had terms like marijuana psychosis before, and now we do. So it is not the marijuana that we remember from the 70s and 60s. Significantly different drug. Moving on, mental health impacts. We continue to interface with community members that have mental health condition. Professionals would diagnose many of them as dual diagnosis, meaning they have some form of mental illness that they're self-medicating with some type of mind-altering substance, be it alcohol, methamphetamine, or prescription drugs, or another type of drug. Our partnerships are still well intact with the mental health community, as exemplified by our partnership with Spectrum and the Mobile Crisis Unit. We partnered with them 149 times, their crisis unit, last year. And to put that in perspective, the sheriff's office, their number is 167. So we're just barely lagging behind the county as a whole. And the other caveat being the systems that are in place to provide that mental health assistance from our providers are not as robust on the other side of the mountain. So we do enjoy that relationship with Spectrum, and we're very, very fortunate to have those services. Victims Advocacy, we saw that at the pre-meeting. Just a phenomenal program. It's in its third year grant funded, so the grant expires this year. There's no indication that we will not be able to renew that grant, although that is still a question mark, and you will likely see that in the coming budget process as an ask in the event that that grant is not renewed. We just expanded with the dog, with Kathy, our new volunteer, and Tilly. Just another phenomenal and unique asset. And I will remind you that we have the only victims advocate for a municipality in eastern Yavapai County. Anything on this side of the mountain, we're the only agency that has it. Our criminal investigations unit, very small unit, it's a sergeant and several detectives. They investigated 132 cases last year, very hard-working crew. Like I said, I mentioned one of those examples of dismantling the very sophisticated and active burglary crews that were out there. Our volunteers, we have a robust volunteer program. Some of you may have seen probably our most visible volunteers of what they call the Granny Patrol. They should have their own YouTube channel. It would absolutely go viral. We're trying to workshop that one, but we'll see where that goes. But our volunteers contributed almost 1,700 hours. The national average for the cost per hour is $25.43, which equates to a savings of $43,000 our volunteers saved the city in very, very valuable service, volunteering their own time. Some of our marquee programs are still well alive, a neighborhood officer being one of them. If you're not familiar with the neighborhood officer program, the city is divided into 9 different neighborhoods. And there's, if you could go to our website, you will see that the officer's face, you'll see their contact hyperlink to get in touch with the officer that has responsibility for problem solving and connecting with your neighborhood, whether you live there or whether you operate a business there. Happy to also mention that Councilmember Holz's recommendation, our IT department just improved our map. So it's a kind of an interactive map. And again, for a city of our size, something to be proud of, that we have that capability. Very user-friendly, and again, that can be found on the PD's website. We still have our Cottonwood Cares program, Safe Shopper, Safe Community. If you want more information about that, look into our website or this report. National Night Out continues to be one of the largest singular national night out events in the state. That's something to be proud of as well, considering our resident population hovers around 12,000. And you'll be pleased, as I am, to hear that we've revived the Citizens Academy after a hiatus of several years. This is the only community I'm aware of where you have Citizens Academy graduates that go back and do it again and again. So that's, and I don't think that's the case this time. I think we've got a lot of new faces, which we're thrilled. Organizationally, we are committed to maintaining a safe community. That's our paramount objective and our core mission. Staffing and recruitment is an issue for us, as it is across the country. And various job classifications, police officers certainly being one of them. It's highly competitive, as you're well aware of. Dispatcher is another one. We've been dealing with consistent challenges over the last 3 years with our radio system, and we can attribute much of the rooting of that in the terrain, the design, and the age of our equipment. So that may be another budget request that you see, is to hire a consultant that will actually tell us what we can do to improve it. It's not decrepit, but it is certainly, we'd like it to be a little bit more reliable and resilient. Use of force, a big area that I've always held close to my heart and sharing with the public, is why, when, and how we use force on the street. It's unfortunately, violence is an inherent component. Dealing with violent individuals is an inherent component of policing. And it's imperative that we share this data with our community so they understand when, why, and how we use force. So this puts it in perspective. Very similar to last year. Out the entire year, we made about 800 arrests, 803 to be exact. 27 of those arrests required some level of force. And 27 out of 803, that's about 3.3%, required some level of force. From a control hold, it could be a display of a weapon, it could be a taser deployment. And that's what you see in the pie chart when you look at our report. And I will take a second to illustrate that the section that you see for taser deployments, if we did not have that life-saving tool, that would be replaced with impact strikes and injuries to officers and suspects, which don't exist. So I know that that weapon takes a lot of heat in some corners of our society. Absolutely a game-changing lifesaver, and we're very fortunate to have it. Our communications center dispatched 36,792 calls last year. As you know, they dispatched police for Cottonwood PD, Cottonwood Fire and Medical, and all the fire districts, most of them surrounding us. 14,400 of those 36,000, about 40%, were Cottonwood PD calls. Our 911 calls were up by about 1,000 to 25,000. On the horizon, something to look forward to, which we're very excited about in our communications center, which is state-of-the-art, has a phenomenal crew, is what's called Next Generation 911, where you'll be able to text our comm center with a 911 call for service via a text. Please. Let's get that. My co-pilot is alerting me to, yes. And I'm also dedicated to an overview of how many administrative investigations are conducted within our agency. Police departments police their own like no other, in my opinion. This one is no different. The majority of our administrative investigations are generally going to be internally driven rather than receiving complaints from the citizenry, which should tell you we're tougher on our people than our citizens generally are. So we had 18 of those this year, and the outcome of those is outlined in the report itself. Thank you, Gar. Traffic safety, always a concern. Our DUI arrests are down. We're going to attribute some of that decline to the staffing levels that we currently have. We had a number of retirements and resignations and one or two terminations, all within a contemporaneous period of time. We are out there arresting an increased number of people for extreme DUI, which is a 0.15 blood alcohol content or higher. That's up about 19%, which is somewhat alarming. Speed, you'll hear me say this every time I stand up here. I doubt it'll ever change. Speed is the #1 cause of collisions. in this community and most. We issued 581 civil speeding tickets, 41 criminal, and we gave 150 warnings during traffic stops. We were able to leverage $56,000 from the very generous Director of Government Office of Highway Safety. To include what's on the horizon for this month is finally we will have a mobile digital ticket platform, essentially, so they'll no longer be handwritten. It will be streamlined and integrated into our records management system, which we're very excited about. And you probably noticed that we got a grant and we, with the help of Public Works, installed 3 what are mobile speed awareness signs, which have gotten some pretty rave reviews for their effectiveness so far. So we're pretty happy about those. And those are mobile, like I said, and we're gonna try to secure some more grant funding to bring in a couple more. Strategic plan, we just completed the 3rd year of a 5-year plan that was launched in 2017. Last year we completed 28 year 3 initiatives. There was a handful that were deferred. The reasons are timelines. Funding is a very common variable for pushing something down into the next year. And that concludes my report. Did I make the 15 minutes?
I think you did. Yeah, I think you did.
So I would be happy at this point to entertain any questions that council may have.
Very good. Do we have questions for Chief Gazelle? Councilmember Wilden?
Of course. It's so easy to find out the neighborhood police officer, so thank you for that. I did that last night. I urge everybody to go online and do that. It's very easy. And just on curiosity's sake, how many cold cases are there?
How many cold cases?
Cold cases, yeah.
That is not included in the report. We'll have to get back to you.
Okay, I mean, I was just curious about that, so don't worry about that.
Good question.
Any other questions from council?
In reference to the officer-involved shooting in Clarkdale last week, I understand our officers were the first ones on scene. Is that correct?
I don't believe we were the first on scene, but we were one of the first. Obviously, we're an adjacent agency.
Right.
Our staffing levels are higher than both Jerome and Clarkdale, so we definitely assisted with a very tragic scene.
Yes, it was. I was just curious because I understood that 2 of our officers arrived before even Clarkdale, and I was kind of surprised at that. But if Clarkdale was there first, that's what I would have expected.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Holtz, I'm also not aware of that, but I received a phone call from their city manager, very appreciative of not only our police department responding and helping secure the situation and address the issue at hand, but also our fire department. Our fire department showed up and provided aid on scene. So not only PD, but our fire department helped take care of our neighbors.
Thank you. Yeah, I heard nothing but rave reviews for our department. I was just curious about that one fact. So, thank you.
Very disheartened to hear of the death of that 4-year-old.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I just want to say thank you to you and your department. It's a very thorough overview, and appreciate you keeping it down. I'm surprised, but you're just getting better every year. So
I'm very competitive, so you set the bar and I strive to meet it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is call to the public. This portion of the agenda is set aside for the public to address the council regarding an item that is not listed on the agenda for discussion. However, the council cannot engage in discussion regarding any item that is not officially listed on the agenda. There are forms in the back if anybody would like to address the council during call to the public. Is there anybody here that would like to address council for call to the public? Okay, all right, we'll close the floor, move on to approval of the minutes of the work session of February 11, 2020 and a regular meeting of February 18, 2020. I'll go ahead and move to approve those minutes.
Second.
Okay, Mayor made the motion, Councilmember Holt seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. And now we go into the consent agenda. These following items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. We have 9 items tonight on the consent agenda, so I'll read them out. And if there's anybody in the audience that would like to have an item pulled, please indicate by waving your hand. And otherwise, we'll approve them all in one motion. Item 1, acceptance of a trail easement from Thompson Rentals LLC for the Riverfront Park Old Town Trail. Item 2 is resolution number 3041, abandoning an alleyway between Mingus Avenue, East Apache Street, North 15th Street, and Main Street to Circle K Stores, Inc., in exchange for certain rights-of-way and other consideration, and subject to the reservation and/or receipt and recordation of a public utility easement. Item 3 is purchase of a street crack sealing machine for the Public Works Department. Item 4 is proposed facility use agreement with the Verde Valley Little League Association for use of the city's youth sports complex. Item 5, award of contract for the city's fiscal year 2019-2020 pavement preservation project. Item 6, award of contract for the 2019 parking lot pavement preservation project. Item 7, award of contract for the street striping services for Phase 1 of the Main Street Road Diet project. Item 8, special event liquor license application submitted by Christian Oliva del Rio, applicant for the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce for chamber mixers scheduled for March 19th, 2020 at Cloud IT, located at 838 South Main Street, Suite D. May 21, 2020 at Verde Valley Habitat for Humanity, located at 737 South Main Street, and July 16, 2020 at Lux Verde Hotel, located at 301 West 89A. And last, item 9, resolution number 3040, appointing James Gillen as an administrative hearing officer. Is there anybody that would like to have an item pooled? Okay. I'll go ahead and move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, Mayor made the motion, Councilmember Henry seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's approved. If we could have Deputy Clerk read resolution number 3040, please, by title only.
Resolution 30412. Resolution number 3041, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona, vacating and abandoning the city's rights in a 250-foot long, 20-foot wide alleyway that runs between Main Street and North 15th Street, north of Mingus Avenue and south of East Apache Street, subject to the reservation and/or receipt and coordination of the public utility easement thereon. Jeez. And finally, the other one.
You want to read it again just to clean it up a little bit?
Please don't. Where's the other one? Sorry, Mayor.
That's okay.
Resolution number 3040, resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona, appointing James Gillian as an administrative hearing officer for the city.
All right, very good, thank you. Okay, now we go into new business. The following items are for council discussion, consideration, and possible legal action. Item 1 is a public hearing regarding the proposed Sawmill Gardens annexation. Evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Scott Ellis, Community Development Director. What we have before you tonight is the required public hearing within the last 10 days of the 30-day waiting period for the Sawmill Gardens annexation. Does that make sense? Yes. I can try to explain it again if it doesn't. It does get a little confusing. So on February 5th, we filed and provided notice to the county that we were going to move forward with this annexation. We filed a blank petition with the recorder that started the 30-day waiting period. Within the last 10 days of that, we have to have this public hearing for the council to discuss and consider the annexation. Mm-hmm. So no action taken, it's just requirements through the annexation process from the state law. We then notified residents of the community about the public hearing, posted it in 3 locations, notified the chair of the Board of Supervisors and the clerk's office, the county supervisor's clerk. If you remember from the presentation before, Sawmill Gardens annexation, 59 homes, also a couple homeowners association properties in there, so just over 60 properties total, plus 1 small right-of-way section from the county that would come into the city. The roads in there will remain private and maintained by the homeowners association. They are currently on the city water system, and they will not be required to connect to the city sewer If they did decide to do so in the future, it would be at their own expense, but we're not going to come in and say, you guys now annexed, now you have to connect. That's not what we're going to do. Here's a street view of the entrance just off of East Cottonwood Street, on the east side of it, just past Cove Parkway, kind of just down and across from the Safeway Shopping Center. Showing the outline of it here in red, encompassing those 59 homes and the homeowners association properties. The city boundary runs where this green line is here, down, over, and over. So this would extend it to basically encompass only this community here, nobody outside of that. The homeowners association did approach us last fall to look into this. They did an internal poll and found that based on the response, the majority of the residents were in favor. We went ahead and moved forward with this process. This is that little section of county right-of-way on Cottonwood Street that would now come into the city. Requirements do require us to take that because it is adjacent to the annexation. It does this little U shape there. So that's the only portion right-of-way we would be taking. Right now, the city does not currently have any property tax. Some of the benefits to the residents, they would be able to vote in the city elections if they lived in the city limits for 29 days after the annexation approval. Police and fire services, our departments are closer than what they get right now with the other fire department and county sheriff. They would no longer pay the fire district tax with July 1st following the annexation, which in this case likely be 2021 if the annexation does go through. Code enforcement, planning services, building services, will be paying lower city residential water rates immediately after the adoption of the annexation if it does go through. That would happen on the next billing cycle, so there's no waiting period on that. Some of the benefits to the city, we would receive additional state shared revenues from income and state sales taxes, transaction privilege tax if applicable. Property owners with long-term rentals will pay 3% tax that's determined, that's 30 days or more. Short-term rentals would pay 7% city tax plus county and state taxes totaling a little over 13%. We do have what looks like many residents here tonight. Again, we did notify them of the public hearing, so council can discuss if they have any concerns, questions, comments. Staff has only received 4 phone calls from residents as of today. All of them with some very similar questions, satisfied with our responses and what we have to say about it. So, any questions from council?
I have a question. So in that area, we have 59 homes, you said?
Yes.
Are there 59 septic tanks?
They are all on septic tanks.
Individual tanks, or how is that?
They're
Mr. Mayor, council member, one of the members said 29 septic tanks currently. So they don't have individuals, but according to the residents, 29 different septics.
some of the homes, Mr. Councilmember, are almost duplex style. So they're connected with that shared wall, so they're on that same system.
I understand that. So if the system goes down, are they going to be able to put another septic in there, or do they have to hook up to the sewer?
No, we wouldn't make them hook up to the sewer. That's not part of what we're doing. So anything to do with the septic, any maintenance that they have to do would be as it would sit today if they stayed in the county.
Mr. Mayor, if I can add, all of those buildings are duplex style. Our sewer system does not go into their subdivision, into their HOA area. It goes, I believe, Tom's here, but on the outside, alongside the road. So our current ordinance does not require anybody to add from that distance, only if it comes in front of their house or is readily accessible. So that would not qualify.
Right.
Very good, thank you.
Excellent. Do we have any other questions for Mr. Ellis at this time?
Yeah, what are the main gist of the questions that you've been getting directly? Excuse me.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What is the main gist of the questions that residents receive?
A lot of it are what are the benefits to the residents and if there's going to be any cost associated with this to the residents. Are they going to incur any costs if this happens?
All right. If we don't have any other questions at this time from council, I would like to open up the floor to the public. This is a public hearing, so I'm assuming that most of you are here to speak on this issue tonight, and just want to say we welcome you this evening, and we're here to answer your questions. And the way this is going to work is, I guess you will just raise your hand if you'd like to speak to the council. There are forms in the back. I think we would appreciate it if you could fill out a form and hand it over to our manager. But you can do that after the fact. We'll call up somebody first. We're going to give you 5 minutes to speak to the council on this topic. And then if you have any questions, we'll take notes of your questions and we'll answer all those at the end of the public hearing. Okay? So is there anyone who would like to volunteer to be first? Don't be shy. Are there no burning questions from the residents this evening? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, what I heard on the side was they feel like the questions have already been answered.
Okay.
And so it's not that they didn't have questions, but they feel like they've had them answered.
Okay. Excellent. Great.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to throw out too that staff has developed a pamphlet to send to the residents as well to help address any questions they may have.
Okay.
And we're always available for them to come in, call us, email, and we'll be glad to answer whatever concerns, questions they have.
Okay. So then again, would you just explain to us what the timeline is moving forward?
So again, beginning of February, we filed a blank petition with the county recorder. That started the required 30-day waiting period before we can even look at collecting signatures. Within the last 10 days of that 30 days, we have to hold this public hearing. That 30-day period ends this Friday, which I believe is the 6th, which means that beginning Monday, we can collect signatures for the annexation. Once we hit at least 51% of the total value of the property and more than 50% of the property owners, we can bring an annexation ordinance to council for action.
Okay.
We're going to look at getting above those numbers. So beginning next week, we'll then circulate the petition for owners to sign.
Okay. And so what, if I'm a resident of Sawmill Gardens, then what should I expect in the next few months? Receiving something in the mail with
sorry. Initially, you would receive the petition in the mail with the pamphlet and a brief letter of what we're doing.
Okay.
Asking for the signature if you're willing to be annexed.
Okay.
And send it back to us.
Okay.
We haven't 100% picked a deadline on how long we want to give people before we take our next effort to reach out to them.
Okay.
Which is going to be getting with the homeowners association, finding out what property owners we have not heard back from.
Okay.
And then moving forward with contact again.
Okay.
And again, that's something we're still trying to decide how many notifications we want to send before we decide we have enough to move forward.
Okay.
But we may not get that number.
Okay. We have, I believe, 1 year to complete the entire process.
We do have 1 year to collect signatures. If we
Okay.
don't make it in that time, we start the process completely over.
Got it. Okay, very good. Any other questions from council? Thoughts, comments? No? Okay. Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Mayor, you inferred this, but this is also, in addition to questions, this is of course an opportunity for anybody from the public to speak to the council and just make comments, even if they don't have any questions.
So, Mr. Mayor.
Second chance.
Mr. Mayor, to that note, we also, he listed the people we notified, and I didn't hear him say it, but we also notified the fire district, just so they were aware. It's not required by statute that we do that, but at the same time, we sent the letter to the Board of Supervisors, which is required. We sent a letter to the fire district, so that everybody's been aware of what we're doing, and we're above board on this and transparent.
Good, I appreciate that.
And we'll be sending notifications to those same people as well, fire district chief and board of supervisors, as we move further along in the process before an ordinance would be heard and action taken by council. They'd be notified again.
Great, okay. All right, one more opportunity if you just wanted to share anything with the council. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and close the floor to the public. And again, we appreciate you all being here. Cottonwood is relatively small. A lot of folks think we're a much larger city than we are, but we are surrounded by an unincorporated community that actually outnumbers us. So 59 homes does represent a significant bump in our population. I believe that we are stronger, united, and I certainly appreciate you all understanding that. I hope that this is a positive process for you, and just appreciate you bringing this to our attention. So thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, then we'll move on to discussion and possible approval of proposed reclassification of Accounting Specialist 1 position to an Accounting Specialist 2 position. Evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Amanda Wilbur, HR Director. Approved in the last budget year was an Accounting Specialist 1 position beginning at half year. So we would have been able to hire an Accounting Specialist 1 at a range 13 beginning in January. We've posted the position 3 times now, conducted interviews each time. So since we have not been seeing success on our end on what we feel is the right fit for the department, we took a look at the job to see where the market may have changed. So we compared to many other cities and towns. We looked at the league's benchmarking survey and determined that really, for what we're looking for, it should be at a higher range than what it's currently at. So we are proposing that we reclassify this position to an Accounting Specialist 2 at a range 17 versus the current range 13. And we're hoping that that will help us with that hiring process. So because it was budgeted starting January 1st and we have not filled that position yet, we do have enough salary savings to be able to stay within budget for this current year. Of course, that will affect next year's budget if we hire someone at a higher salary now, but we will not be going over budget if this request is approved.
Okay. Any questions from council? Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Ding, 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 ding.
I'll go ahead and move to approve the reclassification of the Accounting Specialist 1 position to the Accounting Specialist 2 position as recommended by staff.
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Henry made the motion and Vice Mayor seconded it. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Henry,
Yes.
Councilmember Hulse,
Yes?
Councilmember Hauge,
Yes.
Councilmember Naren,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilden,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Matthews,
Yes.
and Mayor Linsky.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is resolution number 3042, declaring the revised and updated drought and water shortage preparedness plan dated January 24th, 2020 to be a public record. Evening.
Good evening, Council.
Must be counting the days, right? You look like you're counting the days.
I'm not counting yet. No, I am. I'd be a liar if I said I wasn't. Well, tonight, okay, first off, we have the aspect of the resolution number 3042, declaring the revised and updated drought and water shortage preparedness plan dated January 24th, 2020 to be public record. Do we move forward into that right off the bat, or should I just go into 6?
Yeah, no, I think council usually, you can either introduce the item or council can adopt the resolution, making it a public record. It's just the predicate action to being able to.
That's what I thought. All right.
Okay.
So, and then I'll go ahead and then I'll move right into ordinance number 675 on the first reading then from that point forward.
Very good. Then I would move to approve resolution number 3042 by title only.
Second?
Okay, Mayor made the motion, Councilmember Wilden seconded it. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Henry,
Yes.
Councilmember Hulse,
Yes?
Councilmember Hauge,
Yes.
Councilmember Naren,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilden,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Matthews,
Yes.
Mayor Linsky,
Yes.
and motion carried.
All right. Will you please read that resolution by title only, please?
Resolution number 3042, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, declaring that certain document titled Drought and Water Shortage Preparedness Plan dated January 24th, 2020 to be a public record.
Okay, very good, thanks. So then item 4, we roll into the ordinance number 675, which is repealing and replacing the city's drought and water shortage preparedness plan. And this is the first reading this evening.
All right, seeing that we've moved through this from September, which we actually, we had a group of individuals that came before council on September 17th regarding the meeting from the city council requesting misters be identified. However, there's a drought management plan. And so a lot of people wanted to identify that they would like to utilize in their business, incorporate it into their business in order to bring more individuals into the area. Council, this was just basically a identification of all of these individuals and businesses that were interested at the time frame. Staff then proceeded to move forward through the drought and water shortage preparedness plan, and had so many different changes. There were so many different things that were identified, not just this one particular item, but there was approximately, I looked through it, and there was probably, Tom, I think around 283. Probably I'm missing a lot more. That's a lot of changes. So at this point in time, that was why we had decided to go ahead and shorten this up with just a short PowerPoint, just to identify some of the major changes to this plan so that you would all get an understanding, an idea of what was transpiring and happening as we were going through this. If I can jute through this. The City of Cottonwood Drought and Water Shortage Preparedness Plan was adopted in 2006. The state required cities to have a drought and water shortage preparedness plan, and Mr. systems were not allowed. So this is one of the things that we were looking back in September. And so we wanted to bring up as well when we were looking through this document. Then there were other updates that were needed, as I stated. One of the resource status level that was changed is added for a total of 4 instead of there was so there were originally 3, Tom? So there were originally 3, and so we've actually identified 4 now. The prohibition of misters was moved from level 1 to a level 2. And the prohibition of misters, misting systems and devices in the original demand reduction strategy 1 from May through September has been eliminated. However, has now been incorporated into the prohibition of misters into resource status level 2. So we still have it in there. It's just in the next section over, and it's been eliminated then from the first one, giving it an identifying factor that it would be allowed then in the resource and the drought and water shortage preparedness plan. Level 1 is in effect year-round, as opposed to May through September in the original plan. Level 3 is now based upon water demand exceeding the safe production capability by a specific percentage for 5 days. The resource status level 4 has been created, as well as demand reduction strategy 4. The prohibition against restaurants serving water to customers has been removed entirely from the document. The demand reduction strategy 1 was originally entitled Water Alert, and now to make it a little bit nicer, I guess in that context, is now entitled Water Smart, and basically gives it a better identification there as a smart plan. The strategy 1 prohibits irrigation from 8 o'clock a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. year-round, instead of May through September from 9 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. The bullet point underneath that is the even-numbered addresses may irrigate on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and odd-numbered addresses may irrigate on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. Strategy 2 has been renamed from Water Emergency to Water Alert. Strategy 2 prohibits the use of misting devices. Strategy 3 is titled Water Emergency instead of Water Crisis. And strategies 2, 3, and 4 require a declaration by the mayor upon the recommendation from the utilities director. The provisions in the next point in strategy 4 are as follows. Number 1, there's no potable water shall be used for outdoor purposes. Number 2, no potable water shall be used in violation of any other restriction deemed necessary by the Cottonwood City Council for the purpose of protecting the welfare of citizens of Cottonwood. Number 3 is no new water system connection permits shall be issued. In addition, permitted new connections shall not be activated. Number 4, no new commercial accommodation shall be allowed unless approved by the City Council. And at that point, I'll take questions, but I'll probably pass a lot on to Tom in the back row. So he knows a lot more about this than what I do.
All right, very good.
Do you have one? Obviously, we're always at level 1. Have we ever gone to level 2, 3, or 4?
Tom?
Well, let me start with Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor. Currently, level 1 is not year-round, so we're not constantly in it. So that is the biggest change, is that we'll constantly be in level 1 instead of just those summer hot months. So, for example, the odd watering days will now be year-round. We've extended the amount of time you can't water, basically during daylight, that you wouldn't be able to, well, that's kind of an extreme, but we've expanded it by 2 hours for the day, again, year-round.
That wasn't exactly correct.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. What's the question?
Introduce yourself
One thing
first
that
there,
was incorrect is the odd even days doesn't kick in until level 2 as well, just so you're aware. The only thing that really changed on the level 1 is the time of day for irrigation, which is now year-round instead of May through September.
Can you just back up 1 second, just
Sure.
introduce yourself for the folks that
Oh, I'm
don't know you?
sorry. I'm Tom Whitmer. I'm the Utilities Director for the City of Cottonwood.
A former, I think, might be the correct term.
Former, yes.
I just
I've corrected our city manager.
was basically curious if we've ever escalated those levels.
No, we have not.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, level 2 is based upon water demand exceeding our safe production capability for more than 5 days in a row. And we've never, ever exceeded that at this point.
And we don't really foresee that.
I don't foresee it unless we have a major outage with several wells in the same system, which, isn't related to drought, but it is something that could happen. So if that were to occur, then we could potentially get into it. Based upon the drought scenario, it's highly unlikely that we'd run into that situation ever.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, do we have any other questions for Mr. Whitmer or Mr. Faust in his last couple weeks here working for the city? All right.
That's Mr. Faust, that's only got 2 weeks left.
Well, I think this all came about, I think this was a good opportunity to look at our plan again. It's, well over a decade old. But this really came about because we had a business community approach us and wanting to use misters, which I wasn't crazy about, still not crazy about, only because I think, we don't want to encourage wastefulness of our natural resources. So that's really why I've been opposed to it. But I understand that they are highly efficient these days. City of Cottonwood's done a tremendous amount to not pump near as much groundwater as was being pumped before we took ownership of the water company. So I think we've done everything we can to make conservation top of mind for everyone in our community. So this has been a good compromise in a lot of different ways. We've certainly revised the document in a way that I think will further our efforts in conservation. So I will likely yield on this one.
Mr. Mayor, I also want to just clarify that we also had businesses using them, and so we either wanted to start enforcing it or find out where council stood on this, because we support the accommodation, but it was one of those things that we needed to either fix or address, and so that's also why it's here.
Got it.
I do have one question, Chris. How would this be monitored? Or how is it monitored if someone does something inappropriate, let's say?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Wilden, it's usually complaint-driven, so it's usually someone tattling on someone. The other thing is our utilities, don't correct me again, the other thing is our utilities and other departments, including community development, do drive around and will see violations and take notice. There was some water being leaked on Main Street not too long ago, and that we look into that and see what's going on. So staff does make observations and look into things.
So as of right now, do we not have water conservation enforcement aides and a water utility appeals committee?
We do not.
So are we forming them, or is this just going to be something, because these aren't new, these were in the original document?
Yes, they were. No, those would only come into play when you get into the upper water demand strategies.
Okay.
Under Water Demand Strategy 1, which is where we're at year-round, there isn't a real need for them at this point in time because there really isn't anything that you can violate under Water Demand Strategy 1. If we were to get into a resource status level 2, which would trigger the water demand strategy 2 to kick in or higher, then that's when we'd get into a situation where we could look at potentially hiring some of these individuals that would go around and look for people that are violating the code itself.
Okay, so we just form the committee and do that
Right.
as needed? Okay.
Exactly.
I'm fine with that.
Anything else from council?
No, but I do appreciate the approach that staff took because we had one isolated request and it led to a global approach. And I like that, making it more efficient. I know we've got a lot of city policies and codes and things that need to be updated, and it takes more time to do it this way. So I appreciate staff doing that.
All right, excellent.
Mr. Mayor, on Councilmember Henry's comments, Tom really did the heavy lifting on this. I asked Richard to make the presentation to give him one last hard time before he left the city after 29 years. But Tom really did the lion's share of this, and of course, your city attorney reviewed it and those kinds of things. But Tom gets a lot of credit on this.
Very good.
I'm waiting for Richard's cheeks to crack from smiling. Every time I've seen him the last several weeks, he's been grinning from ear to ear.
I was just going to say, he's looking really happy tonight.
Yeah.
Try hard.
All right. Are there any folks in the audience that would like to comment on this item tonight? This is a public hearing. This is the first reading, so it'll come back to council in a couple of weeks for a final vote. Okay.
Move to pay claims and adjustments.
I need to have the deputy
okay, I'm
clerk
sorry.
read, if you could read ordinance number 675.
Ordinance number 675, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona, repealing and replacing the city's drought and water shortage preparedness plan and providing for a publication of the revised and updated plan in the Cottonwood City Code.
Great. Thank you.
Move to pay claims and adjustments.
Second?
Okay, Vice Mayor made the motion, Councilmember Nairn seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Move to adjourn?
great. Councilmember Nairn made the motion. Vice Mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, she looks good.